Sometimes I've got a real topic for a video lined up in my head, and I want to do that in this video because I've got an idea. I want to start with a statement. It might be a statement that people don't like, it might be a statement that people disagree with, but I hope it gets people thinking at the very least. Today's statement that I have is the fact that I think, maybe it's just an opinion, 90% of people's problems stem from money. Like 90% of people's problems would be solved if they just had more money. What amount that is, I don't know. Maybe it's millions, maybe it's only a couple extra hundred a month, whatever. But I think 90% of people's problems would be solved with more money. So let me explain what I mean by that. To do this best, I want to cover the other 10% first, right? There's always going to be things that you can't control, things that you can't influence, and things that, well, will happen irrespective of how wealthy you are. I think you've always got things like the health of your family members, the health of yourself, the fact we're always aging, which can be a bad thing as time goes on. The weather might be good or bad, that might influence how you feel, but even then you can move maybe abroad or go on holiday. My point is, there's a lot of factors that we can't control, right? Like, for example, it's very unfortunate, but my nan just got diagnosed with cancer. You could make an argument for the fact that being a bit richer could allow me to get a nicer hospital, but you know what I'm saying, it wouldn't have really been influenced at all by money. Now, for anyone that's wondering, she is fine, but it's just one example of something that money can't really influence, right? So there's always going to be things. But now that I've said that, that is harsh. There's a lot of harsh things that we can't change, but that is a small percentage relatively. I think the genuine misery from most people's life comes from what I'd call the more superficial problems. And they are real problems when you're in them, so please don't think that I'm diminishing them. Things like, and this is just the average cycle that I see, right? Most people are tired every day. Most people are maybe out of shape. They don't have the time to do what they want. But if we break that down step by step, we can kind of decipher why that is. So just have a think about it, right? Most people don't have the free time because they're always at work. You wake up super early, so you're always tired, and you wake up super early so you can go to work. Why do you wake up super early so you're always tired so you can go to work? So you can get more money. If you really enjoyed your work, waking up for it wouldn't be a task. Then we think about other things, right? Why might people be out of shape? Well, it's because you might not have the time or the spare money to either go to the gym or find a passion or whatever. Most people don't have passions, don't have true dreams. And I think it's again because corporate culture kills them. As in their ideas, their dreams, right? So that's just my opinion. But think about it, most people seem to feel doomed, whether it's payments that they've got that they can't afford, whether it's the cost of living at the minute, whether it's the fact they can't go on the holiday this year, they can't, whatever it is, right? It seems that most people's problems are influenced by money. A lot of people who I speak to in the real world like to have a go at me with that and be like, oh, that's really materialistic. I don't make the rules, right? But modern times require modern solutions. Right now, I'm in Blackburn, right? But that's maybe, I don't know, maybe 20 miles away from Manchester. A big city in the UK. I think it's actually the second most economically prosperous. In Manchester, I've already had a look. A good rent for a room is at least 500. You're looking at maybe 1,500 to 2,000 pounds a month. That's 24 grand a year for a rental in a nice flat. City centre, but you get the point, right? Modern times require modern solutions. And we don't live in the 50s anymore. You can't work a job and have a nice life, not for most people. And even if you could, there's a big problem with that, right? You have to work a job. Monday to Friday, maybe more, maybe less. But hours out of your day, most days of the week, the year, that people don't like what they're doing. I gave the example before of my sort of, selling business. And one big point of it for me is the fact that a lot of the time I don't like the process of listing every single day, you know, looking at analytics, all this sort of stuff. It can get boring. But I have been on a 200-mile road trip today, right? And I'm not done yet. The sun's setting. It's going to be super nice driving on the Lake District roads as it goes dark. And as we get some nice kind of twilight. But the point is this. My work today is done. I've done my work. You know what time my work was finished by? My work was finished at 5 to 12 in the afternoon. The only other piece of work that I have to do for the entirety of today is make this video, which is going to take maybe 10-15 minutes, maybe 20 at the best, right? So my work was done by 12, and I've spent the rest of the day driving about. I'm not really too concerned about the fuel costs, as long as the car doesn't break down, because it is a very old banger, as we've discussed before. As long as it doesn't break down, I'm more than happy with today. So, yeah, again, it's because I don't have to work for money. In a way, you could say money works for me. Yes, I do have to do a bit of administrative work every single day, but it's not hell. It's not hell like it might be for a lot of people going to the office. Now, I've had people tell me that I'm in a sort of, I don't know, I guess you could say a honeymoon phase, or basically I'm in a very privileged position, and in a couple of years, things are going to change because my business might go broke or this and that. But for me, in my little world, I am expanding the businesses as time goes on. So what I mean by that is, I started off with just my reselling business, like let's say this time last year. Now I've got my Patreon page, which you can sign up to if you want to learn how to resell, because I know how to resell on eBay. If you want to learn how to do that, you can down below. But I won't lie, it's also a great income stream for me. You'll learn how to sell, so benefit for you, and of course for me, I get the money from people who buy the page, obviously. On top of that, I've got this YouTube channel, which at the minute hasn't made me too much money, but who knows as time goes on. So that's already 3 genuine and decent streams of income that I've got. From where I am, I see my business is building. The reason why I pointed that out is because I know certain people will say that I'm in a very privileged and short-lived position, and as my life becomes more serious and I maybe have a child, maybe a proper girlfriend or wife long-term to support and stuff like that, maybe people will make the argument for, oh, you're going to need to maybe settle down, or maybe you'll find yourself in this same position. But I do think to an extent it is a choice, because especially for our young people, we have the option to experiment. I was speaking to a friend just the other day who was talking about this dead-end job, and I'm just there thinking, you're 22 years old. Why work a dead-end job? You've got no kids, no car, no rent, well, small amount of rent, but basically living with parents, right? You've got no real risks. So why not take some risks and not find yourself in this trapped position? I don't get it. And a lot of the videos that I make are basically for people my age, in the sense that hopefully it sheds some light on certain issues that are relevant to our time. But also, even for the slightly older people watching, I'd say the same. As it is where I make about maybe 60 to 70% of my entire income, I am going to talk about the reselling that I do and the subsequent page that I have. So I make a decent amount from my reselling business, right? It's enough for me to go and do stuff like this and not have to have a job. But what I'm saying is, there's always opportunities. Of course, I am going to quickly outline the reselling one and the dropshipping business. But whatever it is, maybe you don't want to sign up to the page, maybe that's not your interest, maybe it's going to be something completely different for you. But I don't see why most people don't understand this trend. And the trend is that modern times require modern solutions, like I said. So going off of that, why do we do things in such an old school way? We're working like it's the 1950s, and it's not. It's a very different time. Again, rents are substantially higher. Cost of living is substantially higher. Jobs pay relatively less, because it is relatively less than it was even maybe 10-15 years ago. They don't pay as much in terms of money adjusted for inflation, and yet most people, like I said in a former video that I filmed in Manchester, most people seem to be reactive with things, in the sense that they don't think outright. It is, they look at, oh, the rent's gone up, we'll just have to suffer on. It's always in my best interest to try and look for a solution, and it's different things for different people, right? Like I say, but what I do know is this: most people do seem to suffer on in silence and basically stay in a time period that is long gone. And I want to bring this back round full circle, right? Most people will probably have less problems if they had more money. Imagine, I don't know what number what it is for you. I know what number it is for me going forwards, right? Right now, I am actually pretty happy in life. I can't lie. I've had a really nice day doing my own sort of stuff. And I have had sales coming in whilst I've been on the trip. It's happy days. But I'd like to have more money, because whilst I love my little UK road trips, I want to take this international, right? I want to have months abroad when it's, because in England it gets very cold and wet in the winter, and also very dark for the majority of the year. So I want to have my winters abroad and stuff like that. And yes, it's a very privileged position, but my point is this: I have a number in my head. Whatever lifestyle you want, you will have your number. And you know what? It really is as simple as just try work to it. And I know that sounds like some very, very basic advice. I can't give tailored advice to you. I have my reselling page if you want to learn how to make money that way, but maybe it's something completely different for you. I don't know what your business of preference is going to be, and it's not for me to say. But what I think I can say is this. Whilst it might sound like I'm just saying a very obvious, and some might even say stupid point, well, if you want to get rich, just make more money. It's like, well, duh. But people don't think about it that simply. People always have to overcomplicate it. So yeah, there's certain factors in life that I can't change, ever, and I'm fine with it. Now, it's never really something that's bothered me, but for example, we're going to say this, right? I'm never going to be 6'5", because I'm not. I never will be. I wasn't born that way. I didn't grow that way. So I'm not going to be 6'5". I'm probably never going to be a pro athlete, but that's not my mission. For some people it will be, so that will affect them, but the point is, imagine if most of your problems could be solved by a factor in your control. I think the reason why most people are happy being, or happy not acknowledging this, is because it requires genuine work. If you understand that you need to work to make money, or find a way to make money, and if you understand once you have money, your problems, a lot of them will disappear, what's going to happen? It's going to change things completely, because now it's gone from being, oh, the world's so cruel and harsh, terrible, to being, oh, actually, I'm being cruel and harsh and terrible to myself, because I'm not giving myself the lifestyle that I deserve. And yeah, that's a difficult thing to acknowledge, I think, and maybe for some people it's not going to be true. Maybe for you this is completely wrong. Maybe it's not good advice at all. I make no secret of the fact that I didn't come from a privileged background, right? I grew up relatively poor, and when I say relatively, I mean in UK standards. Of course, people have it worse all around the world. But compared to my peers, I grew up in a relatively poor household, so there's been a lot of a journey. I'm only 20 years old, coming into 21 in July, but so for the last, maybe we'll say properly understanding things in a genuine way, maybe the last 5 to 7 years, as I've started to get switched onto these things, there's been a lot of a journey. And I'll tell you from personal experience what I think the best and worst times in those journeys were. The best times is when you're absolutely, bombing it, everything's going super, super well, you're doing your best, everything's working out, and the worst times is when you can't pay those bills and you don't know where the next money payment is coming from. It's not from privileged backgrounds, but it's from my own work, and maybe I'm quite privileged, or I find myself in a privileged position to be here, but I have enough savings that, yeah, this car, even if it breaks down, I wouldn't be happy, but I can afford to fix it, get it done. My phone, completely paid in cash. My rent, I live with family, right? I make no secret of that, but I've paid my section of the rent for the next year. Everything is paid off, and everything that needs to be paid can be paid off very, very easily. So I'm in a nice place in life. But what I'm saying here is this. When money is such a big problem for most people, getting a way to get it, I wouldn't say earn it, I'd say get it, because earn it implies that you have to do a lot of work. Getting a way to get more money is going to fix a lot of factors in your life. Because then what are you going to have? I'm not saying you'll have the ability to quit your job, but maybe you'll be able to quit the overtime or cut down on your hours, which will give you more freedom, which will give you more time, which will mean that you can have more time in bed to relax and chill out, and whatever it is for you, right? What I'm saying is a big influence in most people's lives is work. They have to work, and it is a drain on a lot of their time. Also, it's the money that they have to generate from it, which is what causes them to live like this in the first place. If you're watching a video like this until this point, I'm aware that you're already very smart. You're very switched on about the world because you're opening your mind to a different opinion. So, with that being the premise, right? If you're smart enough to question these things, are you not smart enough to do something about it? I'm not saying you're going to land on your feet with it, right? Businesses are hard, and maybe you'll follow the model that I do on my Patreon if you want to learn about that, like I say, link below. Or maybe you'll do something different, I don't know. Maybe it'll just be work a little bit harder, go to work more, save up a bit, and I don't know, it's different things, isn't it? But let's hope this can be the start of a thought process, because most people do find themselves in a trapped position that could be resolved, for the most part, with a bit more cash. As I say, certain things money can't buy. A nice sunset, warm weather, good health for you, your family and your loved ones. The possibility that mistake's not going to happen here or there. There's things that we can't control. But one thing that we can control is the freedom that we have if we start to actually take it into our own hands. It's a hard process to do, and it requires a lot of thought, it requires a lot of work, and you know what, I won't lie. Some days in my business I work harder than most people probably work in a job. Those days are few and far between, but it does happen, right? Full days, whether it's filming back-to-back videos, which I'm not saying is hard work, right? But you get the point. Back-to-back videos maybe for 5, 6, 7 hours. Maybe it's doing multiple listings and dealing with hard customers and whatever it is, right? There's all these different problems, but it's still worth it because at the end of the day, the work rewards me. We've discussed a lot of these concepts here on the channel before, so I'm not going to go over them in too much detail here, but back on the point, nobody's going to save you. And if we understand that no one's coming to save us, why are we not taking actions into our own hands? That's all I think about at the minute, and that's a big factor in why I live the way I do and what I intend to do going forwards. Who knows how things will turn out? Maybe I'll look at these videos in 5-10 years and I'll think, hey, I was completely wrong. It didn't work out. Maybe I'd have been better working in Tesco's or at Morrison's over there. But maybe I'll be able to make the difference for myself like I currently am and hope to continue. And even better than that at the minute would hopefully be the possibility of maybe making that difference, of starting somebody else's journey to that difference, to that change, to that lifestyle that they want. Anyway, like I say, I've got a big drive back, so I might as well get on with that now. But for the time being, thank you so much for joining me in this one. I hope I will see you in the next one, where we'll talk about something else interesting, I hope. And I hope you did find this one good too. If you have any opinions, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, maybe even drop us a comment down below. I'd love to hear your views. And I always like having a chat with people, especially people of different opinions to myself. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Goodbye.